Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this edition of the New Broadcast Podcast. It's a subtext-based podcast where I get to chat with some of our amazing subtext hosts. My name is Dennis and I am the host of the podcast. This week I got the great opportunity to chat with Sougata Mukherjee, the editor-in-chief of the Triangle Business Journal. Sougata sends out a daily morning blast just highlighting some of the day's news in the business and financial sector. He's found that he's been able to turn his campaign from just a mass alert texting system into an actual resource his subscribers look forward to. I think you'll find our conversation incredibly insightful and really refreshing to hear how Sougata respects and treats SMS with the responsibility you should. Check it out. Really, so again, super informal. We obviously haven't met before, so I'll just introduce myself. I'm Dennis. I work alongside Wilson, who's been the contact for your campaign, doing pretty much the same thing Wilson does. But one thing I do is I have these conversations and hold them with our different hosts so that we can publish them and then other hosts can kind of get other experiences or get other ideas from these combos, right? So you might be doing something that somebody else who's running a finance-focused campaign isn't considering when they're sending out text or when they're reading responses back from their subscribers. All that said, I would love to hear all about Sougata, all about your campaign, all about what you're doing here with us.
Well, I think my parents wanted me to go to a different profession, but I chose journalism because I probably was not that smart to go to a different profession. I have been in journalism since 1991. I worked with the Hearst newspaper group, and then I was with Gannett Newspapers Group, really the Gannett News Service. I was writing a lot for the Wire Service for Gannett. And then I joined American City Business Journals in 92, I think. I was here for a couple of years, initially in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then I moved to Washington, D.C. to start our Washington bureau. The American City Business Journals has 45 products across 45 cities. 4 of them, I believe, are just online product. Basically, it's online news service, and 41 has a printed version as well, a weekly printed version, business journal. I started this text service. Why did we? I think our leadership, corporate leadership, in one of our meetings did mention that. I found that somewhat intriguing to connect with my readers in a way that is could be very personal, because the mode of delivery, which is through text. As you know, text can be very intrusive. We all get text, but we don't like text that comes from people we don't know. That sort of bothers us. And I've in fact talked to a behavioral scientist in UNC that about other things, but I remember him mentioning that, it's it can be very invasive, because we hold our text so near and dear to what we want to get. So if we see that invasion, it's like almost, your privacy is being invaded almost, So I take that very seriously when whoever has sort of joined my program, which thankfully has gone really well so far, that I want to give them something on a daily basis that they actually can use. So as you know, we are a business journal, so my texts are generally almost always tied to business happenings. I try to keep it super newsy, of things that are just happening that people may not be aware of within the past, things that have happened over the past 24 hours. And that sort of allows people to use this, because I'm hearing that from a lot of my subscribers, that they really like it because, number one, it's short, it takes them 10 seconds to read. And number two, I sort of deal with three different facts every day. The third one being a super loose, I call it fun fact. It can be about anything, right? So they love that feature. Go figure. Um, and but it does it, to me. I am trying to make it better within the same character length every day, sort of trying to understand as to what is the important thing that they should know at 9:30 to 10 o'clock. So it is critical for me to sort of understand that before I start writing my text. So there is a more pre-planning of this service. I'm not saying that it takes me hours, but I read. I read for a couple of hours in the morning. I did that before text anyway. So now I just pick and choose the things that I think that they should be aware of. That sometimes includes some local journalism stuff we are working on as well. So this service has created this relationship, which I know is further strengthening our bigger objective
Mhm.
of keeping our subscribers growing, expanding our tent per se. And this is just absolutely a fabulous way of doing it. So I'm really glad. I'm basically at the end of my first year now. I've been doing this for a year. Average, I put out, I would say, 3 or 4 texts a week, so one a day. I try to keep the timing exactly the same between 9:30 and 10 a.m. so people get used to seeing that.
Right.
I identify myself right on the top. Um, and off we go. So who knows where it'll grow? But so far, the community feedback has been fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell just based off looking through some of the texts you sent, some of the responses you've got, and then just hearing you explain how you're kind of operating the campaign. It sounds like you weren't sure where it was going to go, but now it's sort of fastened itself into it being like a resource to all your subscribers, and like you're starting to treat it, or not treat it, but you've become that resource, right? The fact that you read in the morning before sending a text, and then you send it around market hours too, especially given the content of the campaign. This is a tremendous resource to all your subscribers, and you've sort of like ironed it onto your own, I guess, routine, right? Because I'm sure when you're writing articles or doing any sort of other contributions to the publication, it's sort of the same process. You're reading, you're investigating, and then you're sharing the information that you can report on. This
Exactly.
digestible form, this is so much more. No, not so much more, but just as valuable of a resource as whatever they might go and research on their own, taking up more time.
Right, right. And unlike a story, a full-scale story, we all they have to do is read the story to understand. My text is only 2 lines. So if they need more, obviously they have to do their own research.
Right.
But I think they feel a sense of sort of empowerment through this text service that allows them, like, say, for their 10 o'clock meeting, uh, on a completely in their own company product cycle or whatever, they bring up one of the elements in the text. Like, they don't have to mention that they got it from me.
Yeah.
They just say it as if, like, they're aware of it. And sort of that values, they feel like, I'm coming into I'm going to my lunch and I'm going to mention this fun fact to break the to make the meeting sort of
Sure.
easy, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard those things, and I never thought about that.
Mhm.
And the more you tie on people's daily routine/activity with what you're giving them in a very, very personal way, which is text, the loyalty factor is far, far greater than people subscribing to your journal or to your newspaper. Far, because if you become part of their routine, which often, if I miss one day, I hear from people saying, like, where's my text? Just want to make sure it's still on. And not all of them, but I hear from many of them. And it sort of also gives me that we're doing a community service in this case, right? I mean, the community just happens to be the nation in this case.
Yeah.
Anybody can, as long as they subscribe. We have sort of we did not market this, as you know, to like the whole world through social media or whatever. We like to we are adding value to our base.
Right.
And that has really helped us, I think, move forward. But we are still learning.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tremendous angle or viewpoint to look at it. When you become part of somebody's routine, they want you to continue. They view you as a resource, and you all of a sudden become part of their routine in the morning, like you mentioned, like having those facts and like sharing it in their personal life. So yeah, when you skip a day, they might be upset about it. Going back to the idea of you becoming more of a resource in yourself through the campaign. Obviously we refine and we try and like, truncate messages. We try and like keep things concise or, I guess full enough of information while also not breaking formula. When I'm doing my own routine, I try and like find different times to do things. You spend a couple hours in the morning reading before you send your text between 9:30 and 10. What has been the challenge there as far as finding the right cadence, the right rhythm, the right balance in, setting up those text messages, finding the content that makes sense and delivering it to your audience, if there's been a challenge?
Oh, no, absolutely there has, because especially initially, in order to be successful with any type of product, I'm just generalizing this beyond just this text service, you need to know your audience. So when we started this service, I had no idea as to the type of people that were joining the service, right? And for example, again, I'm making this up, a restaurateur saw this because they subscribed to the journal to see, what new companies are coming in and where the development is, but they subscribe because it's free. It's a service to the subscribers. And then if that restaurateur, all that restaurateur hears is about healthcare stuff in my text, chances are he or she is going to start getting like, I don't know if I want this thing in the morning. It's not helping me. So I have to first thing that I sort of thought is, once we reached sort of a mass of people that are doing the text, the challenge at that time was, I wonder what type of stuff they would read, because I don't want this for them, because it's coming to on their phone, to basically click stop.
In
order to stop the service. That's just not. So that was challenge number one. But thankfully, the way I sort of went past that is I initially started talking about very, very, very broad business issues. If they subscribe to the Business Journal text service, we assumed they are interested in business news. They're not interested in sports news. They're not interested. I mean, they may be interested in all that, but if they subscribe to us, we started assuming they're interested in business news. So I started the first 3-4 months of the service doing some really broad business news that has a broader economic impact across several sectors. What happened was that allowed people to read something that they're happy to know about, rather than any specific sector, because I did not know. And then I started sort of funneling it tighter and tighter based on my interaction with that audience. And then I started saying like, okay, among all these people, there's a certain group that sort of likes to interact with me all the time. So I started getting a sense as to what business they are in, what are the type of the things that they are showing interest in. So I started honing it down, and what has happened since, I'd like it to happen a little faster, but we are also very aware that this is only going to the subscribers. Mm-hmm. So people who are actually already spending money, I don't want this, so we are sort of devising some new ways to attract more fast traffic faster, more subscribers in a faster way. So, as I started funneling those down and writing certain elements in very industry specific, it seems like people love to hear about the Federal Reserve because it affects everybody. Interest rates affect everybody. But I just don't do the news. I also put my own I also opine.
Right.
I think that has hit another sort of nerve, if you may, as people going like, those are almost sometimes conversation starters,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not just saying this is what they did because they may have found that different. So I just want to make sure if I say something, I also add in that text as to how I sort of view this or feel this.
Right.
Like today, I don't know if you saw the text today about people who took COVID loans. I told them the Treasury may be coming after
Yeah.
you, so get your papers in order.
Yeah.
So,
Coming.
I know some of my tech subscribers have taken COVID disaster loans, and maybe they're paying on time. It's not important, but I think they would like to know that, okay, I'm paying on time. Apparently, a lot of people aren't. Well, they should be, you know?
Mm.
So just get the community conversation started. And that's how I sort of found down, basically break down those challenges. But don't get me wrong. I mean, we will always face challenges because of the delivery mechanism, as I said, to start this conversation. It's a very invasive way of communicating.
Yeah.
It tings and then immediately everybody generally stops
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever they're doing.
Yep. Yep.
So I just have to make sure that's a challenge that we got to make sure that we give them enough material that they're not gonna go like, this is useless.
That's that's such a great and refreshing like way to think of texting, right? Because in obviously I've been working for Subtext since its inception, and a lot of the pitches on Subtext, the pitches on SMS you might hear is like, oh, everybody opens an SMS message. Everybody ignores email. Everybody ignores, push notifications. So that's why SMS is so great. I have not heard anybody who's been using SMS or is like a proponent for it describe it the way you're describing it, where it's invasive, it's intrusive, because you're 100% right. Especially in election years, I don't know why all these campaigns have my number, but I get texts all the time saying like, hey, do you get registered to vote? Hey, this candidate's doing that. And I'm just like, stop all day. The fact that you're treating it with respect and you're understanding that your subscribers are in that shoe right there where they're in that position, like, well, who's this texting me right now? I don't really need this. Just speaks to the fact that you're able to retain and keep all your subscribers there because the content you're sharing is respective of that and acknowledges it. So that's great on your part. I'd say that's one of the first times I've heard somebody treat it with that respect. It is intrusive, it is invasive, so it's important to treat your subscriber with respect through your content. One thing I wanted to touch on when you're describing funneling your audience and making sure you're refining and adding those opinions and talking to people about broad things at first and then funneling down into what people definitely want to hear about. Have you noticed an uptick in any of the activity on your campaign based off certain events that were happening? So like when inflation was through the roof, was there more pings back on your end from subscribers like wanting to hear more about inflation related numbers? More recently, Bitcoin hitting another all-time high. I don't know if you spoke about crypto on the campaign, but would people ever, start to be more active when it comes to items like that?
Yeah, I can't. I know there were a couple of instances I'm trying to recall as to late last year where there was a lot of interaction on the same subject line. Um, Unemployment, like broader economy related stuff. And that seems, as long as, I got several people talk about the economy. The text was about almost 2 million Americans continue to draw jobless claim checks, the highest in 2 years. People are having a harder time finding jobs. Frankly, too much chatter in these numbers. Let's wait until the February numbers come out. This was um, done in December. There were a lot of interaction regarding that. There was a lot of interaction when I talked about why a community overall economic plan, and this was like based on a column I was writing that way. So I that week, and I sort of said that. I mean, that really, really made people sort of uh, talk back to me through this service, as well as if they found an email, my email on our website through the email. That was a hot topic anyway. So I sort of leveraged it, if you may, because I was writing a column for the print anyway. So I just sort of took a different twist to let my subscribers know that, be on the lookout for this. But more importantly, I'm just sort of wondering as to where we can go from here or something. I left the door open. So that's anytime you sort of do, I found that with my subscribers, anytime you sort of allow your subscribers to opine, you have a better chance of them opining. But as long as you keep it sort of tight, don't blabber and then say, like, what do you think? That does not work.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, let them know how you feel. They definitely will respond. But if you keep on going and then say, what do you think? Chances are they won't. So it's just, it's just a learning process, man. I mean, I love this service because I think our communication skills have, in order for people to pay for services, they need to start feeling their communication skills are personal. And that those communication skill, the subtext element of this makes it possible for sort of me to devise my campaign on a daily basis that makes it personal, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Sorry, I got a visitor.
No worries. I've been there, done that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I see the pictures behind you. He would have like a putting set on this side of my office. He loves to come in here and just hit golf balls and stuff.
Yes.
I'm sorry, totally sorry. That makes total sense as far as like, the give and take between subscribers in general. But I think it goes even more so with, the way that you're handling your campaign and, making sure that they're involved both off subtext and within the campaign too.
Right. The goal is much bigger, right, in a way. So if the hosts, I think the goal needs to be far bigger than the delivery mechanism. I think the goal, like for a media company, needs to be how you can make your subscriber base, two things: how you can add to your subscriber base, and by adding, and then your existing subscriber base, how you can make them stickier. So in order to make them stickier, they need to start feeling there is a different channel that gives me sort of a whole new set of information that I am not getting from my local business newspaper, in my case. So I think overall, then the goal is now when we get new subscribers, we are giving them the option to join the tech service because we have a little barcode and QR code. And, even if it goes up by 1 season, 2 seasons, I'm completely okay with that. You're just totally building this. And then, when I talk in front of the subscribers, I tell them about it. And given, the unsubscribe rate being so low, you just know that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
You just want to sort of build on it. So yeah, the purpose needs to be far bigger than just offering this service. The purpose needs to how you can make your entire company more valuable.
Hmm.
This is just one of the tools, but it's a very, very powerful tool because of its delivery.
Hmm. Yeah, because of its invasive nature.
You're
Um,
right.
but
Exactly.
it's a resource that's invading you. It's not. You're not harming. You're helping. It's
Right.
critical here. How are you guys measuring that value? How are you measuring success outside of just like subscriptions to the campaign?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, you know, that sort of is a work in progress. I wanted to build a base first. And now that we are there, now comes how we can sort of quantify the success.
Hmm.
One of the things that we have started doing now is there are TBJ sponsored event. The Business Journal does a lot of events that has like 400 people come in at any time. Um, because they're already now our customer, because since they paid for the ticket, so there is a value there. Um, we are we are trying to understand and give them the option, all the attendees the option to sort of join the service. We just started this, and we're looking at the success rate of that. So that you can directly sort of see, like, okay, we had 400 people. We asked these 400 people to join. I'm sure there is an overlap, like maybe 50 of them have already get the service. So out of 350, 35 joined. So 10%. That's a very good return,
Hmm.
right? Because you're asking them to join right away with having the QR code on the screen and they're taking their phone, because that too is invasive.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And then you're telling them that put your cell number and you're going to get something almost every day. They're going like, shoot. I mean,
Right, right,
I
right.
don't need any more texts from
Yeah.
people. So having a 10% return on that thing, the first one we did had 10 or 12%. So that's how we are beginning to measure that, because we're not losing the base. We are now just increasing the base.
Right.
So with the hope that folks that do not subscribe, but they are paying, they're paying, frankly, they come to our events. An event sometimes costs anywhere from $100 to $125. One event
Mhm.
for them, either dinner is higher, this is for lunch or breakfast, and our year subscription is $150 or $160.
Right.
So it's almost, so I'm treating those people that are coming to our events as a subscriber.
Right.
And once they get in, maybe they will feel like, man, this is really good. I need to subscribe. So that's another added on 150. So
Right.
we haven't done that last piece yet, because I want us to do the events part for this year. So at the end of the year, we have instructed the audience development team to sort of see the marriage of the tech service and our growth in subscription base. That will give us the exact success rate that we are able to convert into new people that are actually not only coming to the subtext, but it's also helping the broader media organization, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense because it just seems like you already have them in one regard. You have them in
Right.
person paying. All right, you've captured them there. If you can capture them again over SMS, you're
Exactly.
retaining an audience that's tremendously valuable for how many months or years possible. And this, you continue to act as a resource to them. It's sort of like a priceless thing. Getting those
Right.
text messages in their view, it no longer becomes as it still is invasive, but it no longer becomes like sort of a hindrance or
Right.
that nature. It's actually something they're electively wanting to be a part of, which is exactly what we kind of stand on in Subtext. We set up these campaigns for hosts that have audiences that want to be closer and more a part of whatever it is.
Oh, I'm a big fan. I don't know about how you guys are doing with other. I'm a big fan because every host need to understand it all depends upon that host's way of thinking. It's sort of a behavioral change if they accept the fact that people's attitude, interests are constantly evolving because of the advent of technology in our lives. If they think that that's happening, they should definitely put more effort into service like Subtext, because that, I believe, has a lot of value. It's a different way of communicating with your audience.
Mhm.
And beyond just the technology part, it opens up a lot of different areas. Just as I mentioned, that you can have a repeat customer spend actually more money with you. So it's like what, IT companies, tech companies, not IT companies, broader tech companies, what do they say? That we don't want to sell the software. We want to license the software. So the money, we have a recurring flow of revenue. Well, I'm treating Subtext as a mechanism to sort of attract a customer base that I'm giving them more and more information, but I also sort of subtly will demand them to sort of, bet more money on us.
Right, right.
And this is just a mechanism. But you have to believe that. You cannot just, I want to do this. This is sort of cool. I don't think it works. I just don't think it works because as I said, I come back to the same thing. This is really a dangerous way of communicating with people. Because it upsets me so much when I get these texts and I have to hit stop. It just, as you said, especially during the election year. And I don't know, obviously everybody's cell numbers out there. And you if not done right, you can actually make things worse for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Totally agree with you. I know we're at time. You give me a wealth of knowledge and perspectives on your campaign, so thank you. One last question, and this is just kind of a fun one. What or when or how, who, what was the best experience you've had on Subtext so far?
oh, I had somebody. Um, well, that's an easy one, actually. It just happened a couple of months ago. I think I wrote about something on golf, and they replied back uh, saying that they would like me to be the fourth to play with them at Pinehurst number 2,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and with uh, the CEO of Cisco. And of course, this was back in November or December. It was super cold. I don't. I'm not a. I'm a fair weather golfer.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a golfer, but I like to, play golf. But not. I'm very careful playing when it's raining and when it's below 50 degrees. So that hasn't happened yet, but we have kept in touch via email. So
that's awesome.
it may not be Cisco CEO, just maybe somebody, but we'll 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 see. But that was kind of cool that
Yeah.
it's all came about because I did a golf. One of the items in that was about golf, that how important golf has become in business and how deals are being done.
Oh
So
yeah, 100%. That is so funny though. You're gonna have to let me know when you do play those holes.
I will. I think they're closing the course because US Open is in June. So I may have to wait after that, but that's okay.
Awesome. I also got anything you want to add? Any questions for me?
No, I mean, I just think like just keep supporting the format and the platform. I do appreciate it. I hope people. I it is clear to me that I see this service somewhat differently than maybe some of my colleagues and some other folks, but I just want them to sort of pause and think as to, in order to develop your customer base and add stickiness to that base, um, that will be beneficial for everybody, and you become sort of a thought leader in that sort of space. So I do appreciate the fact that we are available as long as I'm able to. time permitting, and because I do enjoy that. It's probably sometimes shows on my text anyway. But I think if I make it personal, I think people feel it's personal, and I
Absolutely.
think there's more chance.
No,
So
yeah.
thank you for being as a supporter, as infrastructure folks, just supporting me on this journey.
Of course. I mean, anything you ever need, any questions, any like requests or product requests, if you wanted to like something work better, feel free to let me or Wilson know. We'll add it to our roadmap. Like I've said before, you do great on our platform, and the content's like exemplary of how hosts should be using the medium and the platform.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Have a great day,
You too, man.
and make sure your son is golfing the right way.
We do it every single day. I show him how to choke up. He has his own set, but it's a little too rainy and cold to set it up outside.
Yes,
But yeah,
yes. Okay,
cashing in on those PGA checks pretty soon.
there you go.